Hi guys, and welcome back to another lyrical breakdown with me, your lady friend Bonnie. I'm happy to be here. It's a little bit later in the week, but I hope you don't mind. Yeah, are you happy to be here? How's your week going? How are things? How are things with you and your family? Let me know down below. So yeah, welcome to my lyrical breakdown. I'm no expert on hip hop or rap. Or music or anything in general, really. I'm just here to give my opinion, let you know what I think, what I get out of the music, and I'm just sharing my thoughts with you. So, I mean, nothing's concrete, nothing's like, this is what was said. You know, this is just my thoughts, and yeah, I'm just here to share them with you. So, yeah, come listen. So, this week I'm doing a pretty interesting artist and song. I think it was really, really cool. He's a bit more of like the alternative grind, something that I'm pretty sure that one of my very good friends listens to a lot, and probably like should have taken note like 15 years ago when she was listening to it then. But anyways, so so this week I am doing Aesop Rock, None Shall Pass. It's a really cool song. If you don't know it, I hope you'll, get inspired to maybe go listen to it from, what I tell you today, what it's all about. And this is off of the same titled album, None Shall Pass, which came out on August 28th, 2017, so 11 years ago, almost to the day. So yeah, I mean, this obviously has like a kick-ass beat. Like the first time I heard it, I was like, this is really cool, but I had no idea what he was really saying and like what the things meant. So I mean, for me, like this was a really big benefit, like for being able to understand the song that I enjoy listening to. And it's sort of like a creepy, like it is very raw and underground, so it doesn't have that like kind of like clean sound to it, but like that's what kind of makes it so good. It's kind of like grungy and like underground, and it like the whole sound of it made me think of Salad Fingers, if you guys know or remember what that was from like back in the day, or if you guys want to go check it out and let me know what you guys think of it now. You can watch, like, I think there's like several episodes of it. I know I watched it like all like probably when I was like 17 or something. Yeah, Salad Fingers is creepy and weird and just, art, I guess. So yeah, I mean, anyways, that's kind of just how like the sound of it starts. But yeah, and then there's like whispering over it, and it kind of gets really weird. But anyways, I guess I should just get into the whole song. So let's have a listen to it right now. All right, so verse 1, let's just start off. Flash that buttery gold, jittery Zeitgeist, wither by the watering hole, what a patrol. What are we to heart Huckabee? Art fuckery suddenly, not enough young in his lung for the water wings. Colorfully vulgar poacher out of mulch, like I'ma pull the pulse out of the soldier and bolt. Fine sign of the time we elapse when a primate climb up a spine and attach. So this is basically, people are showing off their gold, their bling, whatever, and they're kind of flashy and makes me think of like a flasher, like not like a clothes flasher, I guess, but like just like somebody that would like flash, like, I feel like you see that in like cartoons a lot, where there's like, they have like a big coat and they just have like watches and whatever jewelry in their jacket. I've never actually seen that. Has anybody ever seen that like in your lifetime? Maybe you're like an older person and maybe you've seen it around, but I feel like, do people still do that? I think it's just eBay now. So yeah, I just like doing that. So there's an unsure Zeitgeist or Zeitgeist. I'm not really sure on the pronunciation for that word. But it definitely sounds German. I'm going to say that much. So it's basically like an unsure feeling or a way of thinking, basically. You have one of like the best things. So like a watering hole, basically, to like spoil yourself and bathe in. And I would probably love a nice watering hole of my own, like that I could, take like a pool just to go swimming in. It would be so nice this summer. Uh, but anyways, but you're barely enjoying anything and are suffering and dying because of it. Like you're just like not like going after like what you really need. And like that's the solution for you, like because like you're suffering, and like if you just had some water, then you would be fine. So he's kind of just judging the way, I mean, I think that this was what it was about. Like he's kind of judging the way water is kept safe and like who has access to it a bit. I think that's kind of like his criticism there. And like, you know, who gets to decide who lives and who dies? Is it Nestle? I don't know. Maybe it is. In some places it probably is. This is a reference to an I Heart Huckabee movie, which I remember it, like I remember when it came out, but I never watched it. And so I went to watch a trailer about the movie, just so I could let you guys, you know what it's about. And it was really weird, and I'm still not sure what it's about, but I kind of want to watch it, and it has a pretty great cast. So yeah, maybe I'll watch that. Maybe I'll conquer that this weekend. And art is just like, you know, not taken seriously. I think he's also talking about like hip hop, especially, you know, like what he's seeing, like maybe he's judging what's taken seriously and it's just kind of like ridiculous to him, maybe. And, you know, it's just like something to like mess around with. I think that's what he's seeing like around him. Like he takes it seriously, but like people are just like, oh, I'll just be a rapper, like just because. And not really because they have like a passion for it or are real artists. They're just in it to make money. And lungs aren't as strong as when he was young. Like, you know, he's criticizing himself, I guess, and, you know, kind of reminds him of water wings for some reason. I'm not sure, like keeps him floating. Colorful character, usually like a way to like describe someone that stands out or is a little bit weird, or in this case it's a poacher and they're bad. Don't be a poacher, guys. And they come out of the dirt, and like they're often involved in like when I think of a poacher, I think of like an elephant poacher, or like, you know, like in like the savannas of Africa. So maybe they're coming out of the dirt. Maybe they're hiding in like something that's made out of dirt to like attack them. So I don't know what those guys are up to, but it's bad news. Yeah. So, and then he's also saying there are those kinds of people that might kill a soldier and then like run away. And so like I thought that this maybe was like how he felt about the army or something like that. I wasn't really sure what that meant. And, you know, or just criticizing that maybe a bit. And this is a sign of the time, and it keeps going, and we come from monkeys, and we try to use our own brains because, I guess, I don't know. I guess, you know, because I think he's saying that, you know, we were, you know, these, you know, like a monkey, like just like a wild animal that was running around and just, you know, maybe not like the smartest animal, and then like we're trying, like monkeys as us is like trying to use like this bigger brain, and you know, so it's kind of like conflicting. So you really have to like fully be able to understand how to use your brain, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so let's keep going. Eye for an eye, by the bog life, swamps and vines, they get a rise out of frogs and flies. So when a dog fights hog-tied prize, sort of costs a life. The mouth's water on a fork and knife, and the allure isn't right. No scorn on a war-torn beach where the cashed cows actually beef. Blood turns wine into leek for police. Like, that's not a riot, that's a feast. Let's eat. So, I think that this is sort of like he's talking about revenge here, and like to get even, like something like from like the Bible. And the bogs and swamps. So they're like wetlands where like, you know, frogs and that live. And I had a potentially stupid experience in a bog, actually, in Estonia. So don't drink the water. I'll just leave it at that. They tell you can, but do not. So anyways, so the vines and plants that you can get stuck in like a swamp or a bog, you know, there's lots of things that are all around. And it's sort of like weird when you It's sort of a weird idea. When you win a dog fight, I guess you get the other dog. I don't know, but it's a dead dog, I'm assuming, if it's a dog fight. I don't know. And then that's why it's like tied up like a hog, like, which is in my experience how like farmers and cowboys, like they kind of like tie up cattle if they need to. You know, when you ever see like the stampedes and stuff like that, they're always tying them up. Or maybe you've never seen that, so I don't know if you want to check it out. If you believe in animal rights, you might not be interested in watching it, but I'm still gonna say that like the bull riders, like they're pretty crazy. It's pretty interesting to watch them. I don't know how I feel about the animals, but anyways, that's another story. So yeah, anyways, I just was talking about that. So people are starving and basically ready to eat, and like maybe they're gonna eat dog meat because maybe that's all they have, and that's why they're catching them. I'm not really sure what he was trying to say there. And then he says, like this kind of allure and this kind of like behavior is like what happens like out of necessity a bit. And then he talks about no score on a war-torn beach, and that immediately made me think of like Normandy Beach, like from D-Day in World War II. Juno Beach is especially where the Canadians landed, so you know, I've been there. It's a great experience to be able to go do that. So yeah, that just made me thought of that. And then the cash cow he's talking about is usually like a money-making person, like someone that kind of, will just make a lot of money, and then you can kind of like profit off of them. And in this case, he's talking about an actual cow that's going to make beef. So someone that's maybe going to cook for you, or maybe he's just needing beef. And then he talks about blood turns into wine, like water into wine in the Bible, I guess, but in like a different sense. And I think that if I'm not mistaken, the Catholics drink red wine, and I think in Judaism they drink wine, Manischewitz wine. I've heard of that. So I could be like talking about that. There seems to be like little bits of like religious undertones, like, or subtle messages in like mixed in as well. And then and I think he then talks about he calls out like police brutality, I think, and like often after like police brutality, there's riots and there's like upset in like the community, obviously, and he's saying this is a chance for like people to like get more attention and like benefit from these riots, and an attack like a chance to like attack back, maybe like to fight with people. So there's lots more that people get out of riots than like just like the rioting, like there are like other people that get involved and make profit off of like their actions maybe. So anyways, I feel like that was just like all kinds of all over the place in the first verse. But it was interesting. There was a lot to like think about and like kind of get into. And then we have the chorus. And I will remember your name and face on the day you are judged by the Funhouse cast, and I will rejoice in your fall from grace with a cane to the sky, like none shall pass, none shall pass, none shall pass. So this is basically him talking about like, when you come to like the day of reckoning, when, you have to like face, everything that you've ever done. If you believe in that, you are judged by like these actors, I guess, basically. And like, I think he's judging religion, and like why people believe in it. I think that there is like some issues there. And like I said, that there already was, several kind of like biblical things or religious things that were thrown in. So I think that he's kind of like maybe struggling with his own religion as well, maybe. So these actors and the people that believes set in their mind, and like as certain people they will meet when they die. Like, so they're imagining that they're going to meet like these particular people when they die, and like, so it's just kind of interesting. I think he's just kind of enjoying seeing their belief shattered like at this moment, and he's just like benefiting and enjoying and kind of like almost mocking them a bit. And like, he kind of says in like a very dramatic and biblical in my mind kind of way. And he raises his staff and says like none shall pass, and it is like, you know, it does sound like a very like old school, if you want to use that term, terminology, like none shall pass, like it's very like he's like the all-powerful one. It sounds like something like a wizard would say, or like someone that was like guarding a bridge or whatever. It just makes me think of that. But I think in this case he's talking about the people who go to heaven, but like he's also saying like none shall pass, so maybe there's just no one that's going to go to heaven. So maybe he's like, well, who cares then, you know? He's just kind of laughing. And then in the song and like in the background you kind of have I think it's just the words like I'm trying to help in the background, and then which we kind of touch on at the end. And I think that he's kind of like maybe someone's trying to like talk to him, and you know, he probably just gets like defensive and kind of blows them off, and they're just like, I'm just trying to help, you know. But everyone's just trying to help, but everyone's just kind of basically sticking their nose in like other people's business, or like are just judging them when, like, you know, you don't need to do that. Anyways, let's go to verse 2. So here's verse 2. Now, if you never had a day a snow cone couldn't fix, you wouldn't relate to the rogue vocoder Blitz. How he spoke through a no-dose motor on the fritz, cause he wouldn't play rollover and fetch like a bitch. Like, yeah, like a bitch. And express no regrets, though he isn't worth a homeowner's piss. To the jokers who pose by the glitz, fine the swine in the swarm. When a king is a whore who comply and conform miles outside of the eye of the storm. So, if you've never had like a bad day that like something like so small but like so sweet, like a sweet treat, like, you know how like people go home and have a glass of wine after work and like that's like their fix or whatever for the day. So I think that he's just kind of like, well, you know, or if, you know, you were a kid and you were having a bad day, you know, and you were given like, you know, a chocolate bar, or, you know, something that's so like innocent, or like a snow cone, that's just was exactly what he's just telling you. You know, like, then, you know, you're not going to understand his problems basically, because he's got bigger problems that a snow cone just won't fix. And like he's just like, you've had it easy, whatever. And you know, he says you can't relate to his song, which is kind of altered, probably using a vocoder. I hope I'm saying that right, but I did look into that. It's a pretty cool thing. And then no dose are like caffeine pills, so he's kind of saying like how you spoke through a no-dose motor on the fritz. So you can kind of get that sense that like it's obviously not working. And his mouth is still going even though he's tired. I think that's kind of what he's saying as well. And Aesop isn't rolling over for anyone. Like, he does whatever he wants to do. I think he's making that pretty clear. Even if he's not rich, at least he's true to himself and he's proud of that. To the people who don't work hard and are only in it for like the money and the goods, like he's just kind of like not interested in that. And he's, you know, he obviously doesn't think highly of those people. And I think that he's kind of seeing like it's a sign of the times, the swine in the swarm. And I think like he's saying like in the expression of like when pigs fly that you often hear, you know, when crazy things are happening. And I think that he's witnessing these crazy things. And he's probably just would never believe that they would have ever happened. And so like now he's seeing like who's, you know, making music and what's going on and how people are like getting rich. And I think that he's just like not interested in being one of those people. I think that's probably like having come across them and being involved in the music industry, I'm sure you would kind of just get like irritated by people who, you know, if you're trying really, really hard and other people are just kind of like coasting by and just like making a lot of money, but maybe aren't working hard, but they're like, you know, they have the perfect charm and they have everything that's going to sell. So, you know, but is there stuff like quality or substance in there when he's putting like his whole heart and soul into stuff? Anyways, I think, you know, obviously like people have like problems with that. Like this comes up often in rap. And I think that he's also clearly criticizing the people in power here, and describing them as like money hungry and like basically willing to do anything for money. and they just do whatever they're told. And the king here is being used to be like front and center in a battle. Like I think like in the centerfold, that's what he's talking about. But like in my mind, I thought of like the center of like, all the chaos and like doing things. And, like the king used to be the leader, front and center. Used to like, they used to, like a battle or whatever. Like he would be the first one to go. And then, but now people are like further away, and like they don't really get involved in like, their own duties, I guess. So they're staying away from trouble, so it's just not affecting them. And I think that he's kind of criticizing that again, back to like the music industry and like who's involved, and nobody's really taking any chances, I think. So let's keep going with a siphon to lure out a prize and an award, while avoiding the vile and bizarre that is violence and war. True blue triumph is more like wait, let him snake up out of the centerfold, let the walls break of Jericho, ready to go, sat where the old cardboard city folk swap tails and heads like every other penny throw. So, sorry for like, I feel like I'm off tonight. But anyways, so those at the top suck out just the good from the bad, and they don't deal with anything that's not normal. And that's when the bad side of things come out, when nobody wants to talk about like what's really weird. And like those that they just want to win. They just want to like have that blue ribbon, and they just want to like be in first place, and they just want to be the best. But like he's just kind of like, wait a minute, like that's not like how it works. And then he talks about like snakes, which again is like usually associated with like, in the Bible, it's usually associated with like evil and sin and like the devil and like someone sneaking up on you trying to like do some, harm in your life, because they're sneaky. And, and the devil, and it goes back to like the center of the magazine. And the Jericho, I know is a place in, I believe, Israel. But I don't really know too much about it to explain more about it. But I'm guessing it's the wall. Is it the Wailing Wall? I'm not sure. Maybe. And they end up homeless with nothing. So they, like all these like people who make it, and then they don't really like last because they didn't put any time or effort into it. They just kind of like blew up quickly and then faded away, and they end up on the streets. And sadly, that's pretty true. Like there's a lot of people who, after they've had like this grand success, and they were popular and everybody knows their name, and they just like, they fall off and they're broke because they probably spent like a lot of money and just did ridiculous things, like a young person that has a lot of money would. And they didn't save it. And now they don't have anything. So then they're back to like nothing. And like maybe they got involved in drugs when they were popular or whatever. And I think people a lot of the time like, crash, unfortunately. So he's talking about anyways the homeless people, and that they're there now, and they swap stories as often as they had probably spent their money, and so basically he's just enjoying that like the people at the top fall, and like he's kind of enjoying that, and he's seeing that that's happening, and he's just benefiting because he's going to keep moving on up the more he goes, and like the more people keep falling off the top, that makes more space for him up there. And I think that he also is enjoying like the sound of like a coin, and maybe you hear the sound of the coin in the song, which is kind of interesting. It's nice that he kind of like featured that like little tidbit. But it's just, because usually you throw a coin, I don't think you throw a coin, but when you drop a coin in to like a homeless person's, cup or hat or whatever. And so I think that he's kind of like saying like, oh, a penny just fell in there. Like, it's not even worth anything. Like, this is where you're at. So yeah, and then we go back to the chorus. And I will remember your name and face on the day you are judged by the funhouse cast. And I will rejoice in your fall from grace with a cane to the sky, like none shall pass, none shall pass, none shall pass. So again, more judging, more kind of like like tortoise in the hare, kind of going on here. Like, he just keeps on going slow and steady, wins the race. And then, all these people who fall off, they're kind of like the hare who kind of like screws himself, basically. And then like here we have like the interlude. So this is kind of like where like the whispering, it happens at the beginning of the song and it happens at the end. And it kind of just keeps happening, like kind of just over the, like just the music, I guess. So it's, you tried to trick me. You've got a lot of nerve. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm trying to help you. Or I'm trying to help, sorry. I won't be tricked, basically. It sounds like trouble in the music industry, basically. It's what I think it sounds like. He's seen plenty of that, going on, and people are trying to help him, but they're really not in it, and everyone's kind of doing it for themselves. So I think that's kind of what I took away from that. Let me get, if you guys think of that means something else, let me know absolutely down below. So let's go to verse 3. All right, so let's go. Okay, woke to a grocery list goes like this: duty and death. Any object come stand in the way. You could be my little Snake River Canyon today. And I ran with a chain of commands and a jetpack strapped where the backstab lands. If it can find sign of the vibe in the crowd. When I cut a belly open to find what climb out, that's quite a bit of gusto he muster up. So he kind of waked up, he's revived, and he sees like a grocery list, and on it is just duty and death. And like usually you hear like death and taxes is the only thing guaranteed in life, but this is like another way that the government has you, basically forces you to contribute to society by making you do jury duty. Usually you have to do that at some point in your life. So that's basically what he's saying, it's that. And then we have the line, the little Snake River Canyon. So I think that has to do with obviously Evel Knievel, I think. And like he shot across in like this, like I watched it. I was like, I went and like YouTubed it, and obviously, and like went to check it out. And it was an unsuccessful launch, or unsuccessful, I guess, landing. It wasn't an unsuccessful launch. But it was this little one-man rocket, and Evel Knievel in like the 70s, he tried to like fly across like this canyon, and with like a river that was like flowing through it. And anyways, he didn't succeed. He didn't make it to the other side, but it's interesting like watching him, I guess. But kind of sad, I guess. I don't know. 70s were weird. Anyways, so yeah, and then from what I read, like he grew up in like a religious environment. So I'm guessing that he grew up with like the 10 Commandments, and I think that's kind of like what he's referring to. And he's going up in a jetpack, like I think away maybe from those commands. Like he's not really following like those set of rules anymore. And vibe signs make me think of like the peace gesture. Yeah, I wasn't really sure what else, but I think that he's just kind of like seeing like how the vibe is like understanding his music. I think that was pretty much it. But it made me think of like the peace sign, love doing that. That was what the vibe sign thing made me think of, but I know it's not that. I don't know why it made me think of that. So he's just trying to like, I think, dissect someone and try to like reveal like their innards and like what's really going on the inside. And then like the gusto is like your zest and like what like makes you like adds to like your creativity, I think. And so I think that's trying to like, he's just trying to like find that in people. He just wants to know what's inside. And like maybe he's like looking inwards into himself, and he's like, I want to know what I've got. Like, what can I show people? Like, what can I do in my like music that's going to like translate for the people, like what's going to be so creative. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what he's trying to do. He's just trying to show that. And then, so let's keep going. To make a dark horse rush, like enough's enough. It must have struck a nerve, so they huff and puff till all the king's men fluster and cluster fuck. And it's a beautiful thing to my people who keep an impressive wingspan even when the cubicles shrink. You got to pull up the intruder by the root of the weed, New York, chew through the machine. So dark horse is usually something or someone that is like mysterious. And like maybe like that's the guy that he's talking about, or maybe that's himself, you know, like he's like the weird mysterious guy. And I think that's kind of what he is. So maybe he definitely is talking about himself. And I think that he's just kind of fed up about the way things are going and in like the music industry. I think that's just kind of where he's at. And the people involved are talking about him because he stood up and he, you know, he called them out. Like he wasn't afraid to like judge people and say like enough's enough maybe. Until all the kings met, which made me think of Humpty Dumpty. You know, if you don't know the nursery rhyme, that's what it's from. But it goes back to the idea of king again. But all the king's men are confused and aren't successful. So he's kind of just, again, enjoying that, watching people kind of floundering. I think he enjoys watching that. And like he's saying, like, those people aren't even free. Like they're just like contained. And even though like the world is getting smaller around you, I think he's kind of also saying like they're trying to like expand, like he's trying to expand, and every like the cubicle walls, you know, just kind of like try to keep you forced in. And there's, you know, they're pretty tiny, like they don't give you a lot of space, but if you can like show off your creativity even in that kind of space, like then good for you. I think that's just what he's seeing. And yeah, it made me think of like Lil Wayne, like when he says like what song it is, I think it's like Mr. Carter. When he just says like I feel big, like colossal. I think that's like how he feels. So yeah, you basically have to take the fakers out, and those aren't real people. You have to like really destroy them to like the core, and I think that's when he's describing like pulling out the weed. Like you have to pull out its roots, otherwise it's just gonna keep coming back. So I think that he's like, we're gonna destroy it to the roots. Like we're just gonna like get rid of it. And then he says, I like his line like New York Chew or NY Chew because it was like NYC, so it makes sense. And he's from New York, so no, he's not. I think he's from Seattle, actually. I take that back. And so I just thought that was like interesting, like wordplay. And I think that he's just kind of like seeing how cities, and especially New York City, which is a very big and very like busy and hard city. I think, you know, bustling city, like everybody's trying to like, you know, survive, I guess, and like have like the best of everything, and it's very difficult since it's just a little city basically. So I think that he's just kind of seeing like how it will like chew you up and spit you out, and like if you need to like, you need to survive, or you're going to like get destroyed by the city and by like the people, and it'll send you back to where you whence came. So I think that's pretty much it. And then we have the chorus again. And I will remember your name and face on the day you are judged by the funhouse cast, and I will rejoice in your fall from grace. With a cane to the sky, like none shall pass, none shall pass, none shall pass. And so like before I like touch on like what I wanted to like talk about, if you watch the music video for this, you will absolutely like, if you know, any of like the Monty Python kind of skits, or like how the beginning and like their like illustrations, it's very similar to that. Like he clearly has like inspiration from Monty Python. And I believe, I don't know if it's true or not, that the none shall pass is like a nod, I guess, again to Monty Python, because there's like one scene or one skit that happens where there's like this like Black Knight or whatever, and he's like, he just won't let anyways, it's like King Arthur. It's a silly skit. And they're all pretending that they're riding on horses, but they're not. They're just making the noises, but they're not. They're invisible horses. And then so they ride up to like this guy, and King Arthur and his man. And they try to get past him, but all he says is that none shall pass. And so, like, I think that that's probably where he kind of got, like, this line from. Like, it's probably, stuck in his memories, probably from, like, his childhood or whenever he discovered Monty Python. So I just thought that that was interesting because it all kind of like ties back together. Like if you watch his cartoon, or his music video, which is like all cartoons, which is quite, like I said, very similar to like how Monty Python is. So yeah, that's what I thought about that. The music video was really interesting. Definitely go check that out. I'll link it down below. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for that. I'll just finish up by mentioning thank you guys for being our patrons over on Patreon. And if you are interested in supporting our little show over here, you can definitely go down below. The information will be there to check out. If you want to support us, I would like to thank Linda Williams, Mozart, and Super Old School at 1994 for being the best and supporting us. Yeah, so thank you. And like I said, if you guys want to check that out, definitely go check that out over at the link down below. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do that. I'm at YLF Bonnie. I'm waiting for you over there. Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe if you're not and you want to be. We've got all kinds of musical stuff coming out. And yeah, leave a comment down below if you guys want to see any other like lyrical breakdowns from any of your favorite rap songs. I will definitely check them out. Hopefully I'll get to a request by you guys next time. And I guess that's pretty much it for me. Bye guys.